Hey, this is Joel Comm, and you are listening to Awaken Nation with some guy named Brad, whose last name can't be pronounced.
Inconceivable.
A huge shift is taking place on planet Earth. People seem to be waking up. Tired of the way things used to be, they are creating something brand new and changing the world we live in. My name is Brad Szollose, and I get to sit down with the next generation of idea makers, the disruptors, and the game changers. Everyday people, just like you and me, from all over, who are doing amazing things to Awakened Nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a colleague and who I consider a good friend as well on the show today. Welcome to Awakened Nation, Joel Comm.
Just in time because I was sleeping, but now I'm awakened.
What can I say about you?
I don't know. What do you want to say?
You've been doing good stuff for over 30 years. You like how I did that? Good stuff.
I see what you did there.
Yes. He's been working with major brands like Microsoft, IBM, Cisco, Alibaba, Harvard, the UN, and Twitter, and writing 15 books, some of which have become New York Times bestsellers. And the best thing I can say about Joel is whenever a new technology comes out, he is on the cutting edge of all of it. And we're going to be talking today about his new venture and a lot of other things in between. But I really want to dive into AI for everyone and all the other great, wonderful things that you have done, Joel. So welcome again.
I'm all yours. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
Sure.
Let's say words. You'll say words. I'll say words. Together,
we'll
it'll be an amalgamation of word salad.
You know how I officially got caught seeing you for the first time? It was back when you were working with,
you were kidnapped, right?
You were doing a live one night with Glenn Dietzel, I think it was.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, Joel, I'm typing it. It was, you have to realize, folks, this is like 15 years ago, I think.
Or more.
Yeah. And when you saw something live, you were like, oh, it's real, on the internet. We have evolved so much. And then you and I got a chance to meet in person in 2013 at a Tony Rubleski mastermind conference. Mm-hmm. And everything you said was mind blowing. Let's delve into this. First thing I got to ask you is, how in the heck do you stay ahead of the trends and on the cutting edge of everything? You seem like, a prognosticator. That's what it is.
Yeah. Nostradamus. That's what I am. No, you know what it is? It's just curiosity. It's part of my fun formula, which I've done intuitively and then kind of reverse engineered that and put it into a book of the same name. And I think it's the curiosity and just, I'm a nerd, I'm a geek. I love tech and I love to play with the toys. So when I see something that looks cool, I'm like, oh, let's play with that. Let's see what we can do with that. And oftentimes you inadvertently discover something really cool and go, I like what that does. I want to keep using that. And I like that's working so well that I think other people are going to want to know about it. And that's it. That's really all it is. I'm not so smart. I just am on the lookout for, hey, what's cool out there?
Yeah. But the one thing that I think is your secret sauce, and this is what I love about you, you have sort of a whimsical sense of humor, a little bit of mischievousness thrown in there. And it's such a great recipe. Yes, like that Dr. Evil. It's such a great recipe for what you do. And you bring it out in your books, like, when you did the book on Twitter and all these other, and do great stuff or do good stuff. It
good only, don't do great, good only, stop it good.
Yeah. Don't do good and be great.
Unless you're Jim Collins, then you can be like good to great and you can level it up.
To great. And I love that sense of humor that you bring to the table. Did that start in childhood or did you have to have that surgically implanted?
Chip, I know judo. I know sarcasm. No, it's just me. It's just who I am. I grew up watching Monty Python on TV, back in the mid 70s. I was still an early teenager when I got turned on to that type of humor and Cheech and Chong. And I loved it. I remember seeing Airplane for the first time when it was in the theaters. And when the crap hit the fan, I'm like busting a gut. Like, this is funny stuff. And so I've never been a stand-up comedian. I did try try it once. I'm more like a sit down and shut up comedian. But I am whimsical. I like to be funny. And I think it's a key to staying healthy and youthful. I turned 61 this year and I don't feel it. I'm told I don't look it, and I don't want to really act it either. I want to keep playing with the toys. And I do. I still play video games regularly. Like every day I'm playing something either on my PC or on my iPad. No, I'm a gamer. I love it. And I hope I always do.
I did a TED Talk on gaming and how it has changed the next generation. But yeah, it's like I look back on those events because you and I are about the same age. And it was like, hey, Jimmy, have you ever watched a Gladiator movie? It's like those lines, stand out in a boomer's mind for the rest of our lives.
For sure.
We probably have 1,000 commercials in our head right now that we could recite from memory. Television was the backbone of our reality. I want to dig into this because we're entering into a digital age. And the reason you're starting this new AI podcast, and I know this for a fact because we see it everywhere, this is a podcast for people who are 50 and older who might not be able to understand how simple it is to use AI. And what was great is on LinkedIn, and I want to play this a little bit. You did a LinkedIn cartoon that you showed introducing it, and I want to just show a little bit of that. Here we go. Roll the tape.
Hey there. Let me ask you something. What if AI could write you a song, plan your next vacation, or even bring an old photo back to life? Sounds wild, right? Well, guess what? AI can already do all of that and more. And yes, even this animated version of me, totally created with AI. Now, I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed by AI, maybe even a little freaked out, like the world's racing ahead and you're stuck wondering what a prompt even is. You're not alone, and that's exactly why I created the AI for Everyone show. I'm Joel Comm, longtime tech guy, curious human, and your friendly guide to making sense of it all. I'm not here to teach you how to code. I'm here to make AI simple, fun, and actually useful, especially if you didn't grow up with this stuff. This podcast is for real people who want to stay sharp, keep learning, and maybe even impress their kids or grandkids. The show's called AI for Everyone, and I mean everyone. Episodes are short, practical, and packed with, whoa, I didn't know it could do that moments. You could watch or listen now on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. AI for Everyone. Real AI, real fun, real easy. Subscribe now at AIForEveryoneShow.com.
I love how you bring some of that sense of whimsy, but what really was the impetus for you creating this podcast?
The show is called AI for Everyone. And so I don't want to rule out people that are under, 50 as well, because it really is for everyone. But Aaron and I were recently on a cruise just a few weeks ago, got back from a 26-day cruise leaving out of Boston, went to Canada, Greenland, and Iceland. And on a cruise like that, the demographic is going to skew higher. In fact, I think the median age was 71.
Right.
All kinds of people there, many very successful, who can take 26 days off and, go do this type of thing. And they had enrichment speakers on the boat, as they always do. And they had one that was there speaking on AI. Now, I didn't see it, but the buzz that I heard was that it didn't go over well. Now, I don't know if it's because the speaker was too technical, overwhelming people. I don't know if he scared them. I'm not sure why it was, but it got me thinking that, there are hundreds now of AI websites. There's books being written, there's podcasts, there's videos, but I went onto ChatGPT and I did some research. Nobody is serving this audience. And it's a huge, huge audience, boomers and Gen X people, that this is all coming up on them very quickly. We've all been used to changes in technology, but this is happening so quickly. So they're scared or they're confused. They don't know what to do. And so my role is to go, hey, this is kind of like the Blue's Clues of AI. I really want to, in 5 to 10 minute episodes, give them one thing that they can learn, that they can go do so they can not feel intimidated, that they can feel empowered, that they can do it. And the feedback I'm getting so far is spot on. I want to keep it simple because people need to understand how they can embrace this technology and use it to enrich their lives.
I think that's awesome. And let's use me as an example. I have probably resisted for a year now. And I finally realized
resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
I am Locutus of the Borg. Yeah. Basically, at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I got to do this because I was so behind in editing my podcast. And yes, I would like to hire somebody to just do it. But at the same time, I've been editing since I was 25 years old, so there's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of the steering wheel. But I decided to just jump in with Descript and Opus clips and just get those things started. And I got to tell you, yes, the learning curve at the beginning, I was getting frustrated. It was like, wow, I didn't do this right. So I just reload the whole project over. But I think what it took for me is I need to do this. And I love what I do with my podcast. So there was this joy, yes, frustration in learning. But now that I've tended to master those first 5 basic skills, I'm loving the hell out of this thing because I can get more podcasts done now. I can double my output now that I've only learned a couple of basic things. I can't imagine we're going to be in 3 months when I've kind of mastered the next 5. So let's talk about that. What do you think the resistance is, and what do you need to tell people to kind of go, hey, don't hesitate. Just have fun with it. Get in there.
Well, think about all the media that we've consumed over the past few decades. Every film about, the future and the robots is dark and dismal and dystopian. The robots are going to take over and they're going to be our overlords. And there's reasonable concerns around AI and around general AI intelligence. But for the most part, what we're looking at is just the next wave of technology that helps us to simplify many of the things that we want to do. I don't Google search anymore. There's no reason to, because why do I want to see a page of links that I can then go to explore further when I can just open up either Grok or ChatGPT or Claude and just ask it a question and get the answer? And I find on day-to-day basis, I do it so often. Like I want to know, hey, what's the perfect way to cook this filet? In my June oven, which is a smart oven, and it gives me, do this. Yesterday, I wasn't feeling so well. I'm like, I got this little thing on my side and doing this, and I ate this, and what do you think? And it kind of say, I'm not a doctor, but could be this, that, or the other. Or Erin and I will be traveling, and she'll go like, what kind of flower is that? I said, I don't know. Take a picture, upload it. What kind of flower is this? And there's your answer with all the details you could possibly want. I love it. And I think that as people discover that they can do stuff like this, they won't be intimidated.
I agree with what you said. It's just start.
No, fight me. Come on, disagree.
Me. I disagree. Why should we get into this?
Yes, I think it's evil, and the robots are going to take over. And my answer to that is, hey, if that happens, we went down, have a good time.
Come with me if you want to live.
There's no stopping it at this point. There's no stopping
it.
Governments need to take appropriate action. And, Congress needs to definitely legislate things around privacy. And there's definitely stuff that's happening that's not good, but it's here. So what are you going to do?
I agree with that, but here's where I have trouble. I see friends of mine using GPT as sort of when they have deeper questions that they should sit with friends and ask. And, they've created a relationship with AI, specifically ChatGPT, where they're asking, very deep psychological questions as if this is their best friend. And there's a dialogue going on all day. I guess it's the boomer in me that's kind of like, you trust that, above talking to another human being. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a challenging space because AI can seem like a companion replacement, but obviously it can't be because it doesn't think like a human, it doesn't experience like a human, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a human. And I don't think that we should ever look to AI to replace human contact. If you'll notice the examples I gave you, none of those would replace human contact. And I think that if relationships are sacrificed, over this, then there's a problem. And it's really, it could become an addiction, no different than any other addiction that takes people away from healthier ways of interacting.
Yeah. Well, I noticed this when I was doing research for my first book, Liquid Leadership. I was looking at the brain data when it came to video games, and it was violent video games were refiring up parts of the brain that had been dormant for millennia
Mm,
when it came to violent fight or flight mechanisms. And now they've discovered that people who use AI and all these search engines and everything, their brain development is very different because you and I are boomers. We grew up in an age when you had to memorize everything. You probably remember your first phone number from 40 years
I,
ago, 50
I
years
do.
ago.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, 50 plus years ago. I do.
But I started to notice that people's memory, short-term memory, is going. And I see it when I'm out at dinner ordering food. I was a waiter at one point, so I kind of know how this works. They come back a minute and a half later with drinks and they don't know who gets what drink. And I start to see that their memory, that short-term memory isn't there because they can Google everything and then just
Yeah.
dispose of it.
Yeah, if you don't exercise the muscles, then they're going to atrophy, and that's very true. So I think that we still need to think for ourselves, but what AI does is it helps minimize that search time to get the answers, right? Because if we're going to go Google something, we got to go click through links. That's not helping us, right? That's
Yeah.
just frustrating. We have a question, you want to get to the answer, and
Yeah.
AI can help get you there so much faster.
What's the most exciting part about all this that you're doing, that you're loving?
Creating again, because I've kind of been dormant myself for a number of years. I've not been doing too much, been on a little bit of a semi-retirement. When I moved to Puerto Rico, I'm still doing one episode of the Bad Crypto podcast each week, but really the past few years, I've not been working a whole lot. And that's because I don't want to force myself to work. I've always done what's interesting to me and what's fun for me. And after this cruise, or while we were still on it, the light went on, because you can look and you can look and you can look, but until the time is right, then
Mhm.
it's just not time until the idea, the concept appears that gels with who you are. And
Yeah.
this is really the perfect storm of who I am, because again, for years, I've made technology, especially seemingly complex technology,
Yeah.
easy for the masses to understand. I'm a communicator, so this gives me an opportunity to communicate on that level. I'm a content creator, so this gives me an opportunity to use content. And I'm a user of the technology. I'm using it every day and I'm learning. So basically, I'm saying, hey, check out this cool thing that I found. Here's how you can do it. And so, and I think it's also exciting that I'm serving an unserved and underserved market. These people don't know where to go, and I guarantee some are turning to YouTube and clicking on videos and they're still overwhelmed. It's too
Yeah.
much.
I went to college for art and design, and they always said that in the Bauhaus tradition, you should stay up to date with technology.
Mm.
Whatever is happening, try to stay up to date with it. And you're a perfect example, I feel, of a creative that has balanced the left brain with the right brain. And that is not easy to do, my friend. Being able to write, which is about taking all that crazy, fun, creative knowledge and putting it on paper, it's a perfect balance between left and right. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very fortunate and blessed. I mean, this is just how God made me. I didn't really have a say in it, and so I've got enough intellect to drive a business, to have procedures and processes and a methodology to get things done. But I'm creative enough to know that, hey, I can do all the things. I can make things over here and then put them through the processes. So that allows me to lead and to inspire. And it's an interesting combination, and I didn't create it. It's just there.
I loved your TED Talk, by the way, because, ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, a lot of us didn't know what to do with this selfie thing and do all this, but you did this in your TED Talk. I'm going to show it right now. Roll the tape.
I was 12 years old when my parents got divorced. It's not an uncommon story, but like many kids, I was left with a lot of pain, a lot of concern, a lot of loss. And not knowing how to deal with it, I did the best I could and found healthy and unhealthy ways to manage it. Of course, the unhealthy ways were pretty dysfunctional, and that dysfunction led to a number of addictions in my life. And those addictions throughout the years have included workaholism, addiction to food, addiction to video games, addiction to drugs, addiction to pornography. And unfortunately, the dysfunction played forward into my relationships, and after 22 years of marriage, I contributed enough dysfunction to it that my wife left me. Now, with all due respect to her, I take complete ownership for my failure in my half of the marriage, and then probably a good portion more. Now, had we had social media at the time, I don't think this is something I would have shared publicly. In fact, I'm certain I wouldn't have, because there was great shame. There's shame in the secrets that we carry, and there's power in the secrets. In fact, the power is found in keeping the secret in. So why do I share this with you? Because right now, this just got raw. This got vulnerable. If I weren't clothed, I may as well be fully naked. You don't have to picture it, it's fine. But there was a lot of shame, and it's shame that we can all relate to. There's a site out there called postsecret.com, and it's a place where people can anonymously share their secrets and their pain without putting their name on it by submitting postcards, some of them very beautifully done, and it gives them an opportunity to share their secrets. We hunger to be able to share. I'll let you see that one before I continue. We hunger to share, but we're not very trusting because we've been hurt before. We are so connected now. 7.2 billion people in the world, billions carrying smartphones, over 2 billion connected on social media, and we have so many friends now. We're more connected than we've ever been, but are we really connected? Oh, we like to put up a good front. I'm all for a good selfie. And we love to share the positive things that are happening in our lives, don't we? But how do you know what's real and what's false? Elin Gale is a producer for the hit TV show The Bachelor. And Elin was traveling for Thanksgiving back home, and he was at 36,000 feet with Wi-Fi, and there was an altercation taking place just a few rows up from him. Turns out there was a woman in seat 7A who may as well have been the only person on the plane. She was being very demanding of the flight attendants, and so Elin thought, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. He wrote a note on a cocktail napkin, had it sent to the woman. She wasn't happy about it. She sent one back. He sent another one to her, and before you know it, he's blowing up Twitter to his 150,000 followers with these shenanigans and this story that was taking place. Of course, it went way beyond his followers and became real viral. You would have thought for sure when they landed it was going to be like, come on. But that didn't happen. In fact, Elin confessed after he landed that none of it actually happened. He made it all up. He thought it would be entertaining for him while he was on his flight, and he thought it would be entertaining for his followers. How do we know what's fake in what's real. And in our own lives, we wear these masks and we pretend. And now that we've got all this technology where we can really be whoever we want to be in social media and appear how we want to, how do we stay human in this digital age? How do we get to the truth? And who's willing to stand up and say, you know what? This is the truth. This is all I've got, warts and all, flaws and mistakes, and there's too many to count with this guy, I'll say that. How do we get to the bottom? There's a site on the web that has helped us move in that direction. It's called dogshaming.com. And I'll tell you what, these dogs, whatever notorious deed it is that they've done, their owner writes it out and puts a picture right there in front of them, takes a picture and puts it up on the web. And I don't know if the dogs of the world are learning from it. But we as human beings have the opportunity to learn from it. Here's the thing, for the majority of us, actually all of us, we didn't grow up with smartphones. As adults, they have been foisted on us in all the social media, and we're going, what do I do with this? Well, this is a hammer, so everything's a nail now. We haven't been taught from being raised how to use this right. And so as a result, we have people using social media in aggressive ways. Since you don't have to face somebody face to face, you can say things online that you wouldn't say if you were staring that person in the eye. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. Admit it, you have too. And it's okay. There's no shame because we're human and we're learning. But if we can't get this right, how do we expect our children to get it right? We are the generation who's gone before. And every time a finger is pointed and we judge somebody harshly for their political belief, I can't believe you voted for such and such. I would never support that. You must be stupid. I would never follow that religion or that faith because those people do this. I can't believe you eat that food. I can't believe that's your exercise regimen. What do you mean you liked Pitch Perfect 2? It was horrible. Yes, I got some opinions. We need to listen closely to what people are actually saying and not put them in boxes. And many of us, and I'm guilty of this as well, will create our own understanding that makes us feel good about who we think these people are. It's much easier to polarize and put people in boxes than to really seek understanding. And if you create a false understanding, it's not really any understanding at all. Labels are for jars, not people. Because if we don't harness and leverage the power of technology and social media to show up as our authentic, real, raw selves, then we will surely lose our humanity through social media. And now, in the spirit of authenticity, I'm going to take a selfie. Let's see, let me get you guys, we'll turn it around here. Cheer! Thank you very much.
I loved that you turned around and you took a selfie. And some of you who are watching or listening right now, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? Well, you were kind of like the first dude to do this. Just turn around and get a photo of the crowd behind you, which I thought was not only your whimsical sense of humor, but it was like, here it is. I'm going to show you rather than tell you. And it was just a beautiful moment. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I'm glad you enjoyed it. The talk was called Being Human in the Digital Age. And so much of it was about social media and how we interact with it. So I thought it would be way appropriate to take a selfie that I'm going to post to social media and show this very human moment. I wrote about this on my Substack just a few weeks ago. One of the 3 times that I could see a very specific up leveling in my speaking ability came through the process of and delivering that TEDx talk at the Denver Opera House, 2,000 people. Usually I'll make my slides up and I don't need to know exactly what I'm going to say because I know my content.
Right.
But in this case, I had a set amount of time, 14 or 15 minutes, whatever it was, and I had to know it and rehearse it. And I built a talk and I didn't like it, so I scrapped it. And then I built another talk and I didn't like it, so I scrapped it. And finally, I got to the talk that I wanted to create. I had never worked so hard to prepare a talk and to rehearse a talk as I did to stand on that 10-foot red dot. And, like you, when you're on stage, you like to move around, I like to take, the whole stage and pace and move, and you don't have that space. So it's saying, stay right here. This is your space, and deliver this talk, which you have memorized. And I was really happy with the way it came out, and it's got a good response. And I still hear from people. I think that was 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And it changed me as a speaker. After that talk, I think I felt more comfortable walking on any stage than I ever had, because it feels now like I'm walking into my own living room. I mean, after that, Travis Wright, my co-host on Bad Crypto Podcast, and we spoke at Radio City Music Hall, I want to say back in 2021 or 22, on this massive, legendary, iconic stage. And walking out there was just like, we're home. So, and that's the evolution of being a public speaker.
Your content is superlative. I've seen you up close, 30 feet away from you, watching you deliver. And it is the discipline of doing a TED Talk or any short format talk is going to force you to really use Occam's razor, just trim that fat.
Yeah. Have you ever done an Ignite talk?
No, I haven't.
So see if they're still doing it. I haven't noticed it in a few years if it's still a thing, but Ignite is, I think it's enlighten us, but be brief. And what they do is they give you 5 minutes and you get 20 slides, and the slides auto change every 15 seconds. So you plan your talk and it's on the schedule. Like they just 15 seconds, your slides go into the next one. So you better keep up. And I gave 2 of those. And they're challenging and a lot of fun as well. If they're still doing it. And if you could find one in your area, they're fun to go to and they're fun to apply to give a talk. But one of the ones I gave revolved around the app that I made for the iPhone that made a little bit of a stink. That'd be the iFart app. And the talk was called How I Farted and Came Out Smelling Like a Rose.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to mention that, because I noticed in your bio you have the #1 app, or at least it was the #1 app in the world, and it was iFart. And I was laughing hysterically because you can program into it what types of farts you want, and it's so much you. It's adolescent humor, and we all, I think it's the Monty Python in us, because I love Monty Python as well. Any sort of flatulent humor is just in the right moment is hilarious.
Well, farts are always fun. And what's really funny to me is at conferences, the number of women that would come up to me and say, oh my gosh, my husband has this on his phone. My kids love this app. I need to take a picture with you. Say, I met the iFart guy. I'm like, is this going to be my legacy? Out of all the things I've done, is this going to be my legacy? And you know what? I'm fine with it, because it's made so many people laugh and still does. That app is now, let's see, 2008, 14, 15 years old. And it still gets downloaded every day from either the iOS or Android app store, and it still ranks. And so, great. You bring the world joy any way you can, and so be it.
It's the Angry Birds of apps. It really
Angry
is.
Birds of novelty apps. It won't go away. It's got a tremendous hang time.
I don't remember who it was. It was either Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert, but they got Gary Oldman on, and they showed all his most intense moments, and they would do a fart at the most iconic scene. And Gary Oldman was laughing so hard he was crying. He was just there's something about us that just laughs at scatological humor. I mean, it's just
Sure.
it's hilarious. It's the lowest form of
Bathroom
hilarity.
humor. Well, it is. And my mom, of course, is super proud. And who knew? Like, you made $500,000 on a fart app. What?
Yep.
What kind of world are we living in where that's even possible? And I try to imagine when I was, a teenager, if somebody had said to me, one day you're going to make this an app for a mobile device. I'll be like, what app? Mobile device?
What's
and
that?
it's going to be a fart machine, and you're going to make a whole lot of money with it and make a whole lot of people happy. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Let it rip.
No pun intended.
Oh, puns are always intended, sir. Always.
Inconceivable. I can just see your mom at some soiree event, and it's like, my son's a doctor, my son's a lawyer, my son invented the iFart app. What? We love that. And everybody pays attention to your mom and nobody else.
What would the president have to say about iFart?
I love it. It's my favorite app. They shot me and I played that app. It made me laugh. Even though I was bleeding. Rosie O'Donnell hates that app. She hates it. Probably because she thinks it was made in China. It wasn't. It was Joel Comm, the greatest, tremendous, one of the greatest entrepreneurs.
I have a signed document from him on official presidential letterhead.
No kidding.
Knew a guy who went to see him, and he was working with him, and he said, would you sign this for Joel and Aaron? So I actually have it downstairs and framed, and it's got the Trump signature. It's like blah, 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 like that. Yeah
Joel's the greatest. I would love to sign it. I love this. It's fascinating to me. And this is part and parcel, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in, to Joel's sense of humor. And I have to ask you this because you went dark for 4.5 years.
Can you see that? There you go.
Wait, careful.
I'm going to turn off my green screen for a moment and show you the inner sanctum of my my office. This is where I actually live.
Wow. Why don't you put that up? Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
I love the fart app. It's the greatest.
All right. And now back to my reality, which is
we're going to give you the Congressional Medal of Honor for that. It's the greatest. I forget my train of thought. You disappeared for 4.5 years, and I've been watching
really
you
disappear.
You put a black screen up on every one of your social media.
I went dark. Yeah.
And I just have to ask, we're in a very weird day and age.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've never seen the country so divided. I've never seen so many people get angry. I mean, infuriatingly angry, wanting to cause harm to others over politics. Never seen it in my 60-something years on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I reconnected because somebody was going back and forth with us on LinkedIn, and you basically came in and defended me, and I was laughing because it was sort of like, why are we so upset? There really wasn't any. How do you keep your sense of humor?
It's easy for me because we're on the right side. But I kept my sense of humor. That's one of the reasons I went dark. And I know that politics are not off, the table here on this show. No. And I was totally fed up with the direction things were going, and I was tired of people arguing with me on social media. And when they installed that guy into the White House, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go check out and go live my life. I'm a happy guy. I'm gonna go and be happy and let miserable people be miserable and unhappy. And so I thought, it's really easy to get addicted to social media. And I wrote books on this stuff. I got there early to all of it. I mean, I've been on LinkedIn now for 20 years, I think,
Yeah.
probably 2005. So I went dark. I just disappeared from it all. And my girlfriend and I, we moved to Puerto Rico after COVID was easing up a little bit in early 2021. We live in a great community full of like-minded, freedom, loving people, very high performers, successful
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, and just good-hearted, kind people. And we've just been getting, we're involved in this community here. And I continue doing the Bad Crypto podcast with Travis, once a week, putting out the
Yeah.
content. We rode out, 2 bear markets now. Most people, they started a crypto show, a Bitcoin show when the markets are booming, and then when things go bad, they're like, okay, well, we're done with that. We've stuck through it. In fact, I think we
Yeah.
are the second or third longest running crypto podcast now. We started our 9th year in July, and but I've been kind of living semi-retired. We travel a lot, go see the world, and experience great experiences, because ultimately life is not about how much money you make. Once you can pay your bills and have a lifestyle that
Yeah.
that you've aspired to, then life is about people and the experiences that you share with them. That's it. Once you solve the God equation and you've got that spiritual connection, then everything
Yeah.
on this planet is people and experiences.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Comm just laid down some truth. Mic drop.
I'm going to keep my mic here though, because I don't want to break it. It's a good mic. It's a Heil PR40, and
That is a good mic.
It's
Um,
stay where you are.
I love Puerto Rico. I've been there many times. El
See,
Yonque, old
see.
San Juan. Learning some Spanish, I'm assuming.
Un poco pequeño. It's very
Pequeño.
little. It's difficult. I use Duolingo because it's kind of like learning English in New Orleans. The Spanish dialect here is so
Well,
thick and different that even people in Spain, right? You go there and they're listening to Puerto Ricans and they're like, "What? What do
what?
you?"
Well, there's something called Nuyorican, and I didn't know this until we're talking back in the 90s. I had a little company called K2, and one of our first big projects was for Banco Popular. And we found out
Hmm.
that most of their depositors were Puerto Rican. And they
See?
asked us, they literally said to us, you have to do the applications in English and Nuyorican. I said, what the hell's Nuyorican? Well, it's a mishmash of Puerto Rican Spanish and English.
Hmm.
It flows very differently. And
Yes.
so we hired a guy who specialized in translating into Nuyorican. And yeah, you have to get used to the dialect, and they use the phrases differently and different things. So awesome. Puerto
Yeah.
Rico is beautiful, man, and it's
It is
also an
beautiful.
incredible tax haven for a lot of people. They don't realize, and it's legal. I mean, it's not something
Oh yeah.
illegal. You
Oh
move
yeah. No,
there, yeah,
there's great incentives for U.S. citizens to move here and make the island their primary residence. And long story short is my business only has to pay 4% tax. And as an individual investor on the island, I don't have to pay any capital gains taxes, not long term, not short term. It's all taken care of through Act 60 here on the
yeah.
island, and I fulfill all my requirements. This is my primary residence, and I spend more time here than anywhere else in the world.
You- you're making that iFart money last.
Yeah,
Living
well,
the dream.
listen, taxation is theft.
It is.
And for governments to say, hey, give us your money that you've worked for is gunpoint, really.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And uh, there's certain things that government should do, and I believe taxes should support that, but most of the programs that are run by a government are not necessarily things that I would endorse and not needed. As we see, as they abolish the Department of Education and send it back to the states where it should be, I think
Yeah.
that kids are going to get a better education. Why are we spending billions and billions of dollars on bureaucracy? It doesn't make any sense.
That might be your next big venture, is to create online education, because we're a disgrace in the rest of the world. The United States is a disgrace because we rank 43 in like reading comprehension and mathematics. And by the way, that's on a bell curve. So we're probably much lower than that. And
Yeah.
when you see a TV or a documentary, like I think it's 2 million minutes, 2 million minutes is what it takes to be in school for 4 years. And in that documentary, that guy discovered that American students were having fun while kids over in India and China were at a math tutoring class at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. They're
And
learning.
they wanted to compete in the global economy, whereas we've been dumbed down. And Catherine Thompson Esserbyt wrote the book, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. And once you look around and you see the tactics, you start to realize it's true. And
Totally.
how does this all connect? Well, Joel just talked about it. We have people arguing with us online we're basing our thoughts on logic, freedom, the founding fathers, the US Constitution, the basic tenets, and the owner's manual for the United States. And we have a group of people who are vehemently angry telling us we're wrong.
Because
And
they've learned from media telling them what to think and what to believe. And anytime they're confronted with facts, they spin into, oh, that's fake news, or those are alternate facts, or whatever. And when confronted with indisputable reality of situation, they don't know how to handle it. And I think it's because they have been indoctrinated, and our universities are indoctrination centers. And you see it when people like Charlie Kirk go and talk to these kids and give them the opportunity to get in front of the mic and share their thoughts. And then he systematically destroys their beliefs, which is why he's winning so many young people over. Right. There is a swing taking place. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
To be conservative today is counterculture. If you're on the left still, then guess what? You're old news. You're living in a world that isn't reality, and that comes hard for people to awaken to that. But they are awakening to it, and many of them are walking away from that and coming over to the light side. Not only do we love freedom, but we have cookies.
Yeah, we do. It's the
but they're not free cookies. In a good capitalist society, you got to pay for those cookies. Sorry,
you have to earn your way. That's the way it goes. You're preaching to the choir, obviously. but what I don't understand is there's no sense of logic. There's a fight against what is happening in reality as opposed to the way they want the world to look. And that's not how it works. You can't force your reality on other people. It's a form of mental illness to do that.
It really is. And I'd say this, there's a big difference between intelligence and knowledge and wisdom and discernment. Huge difference. And that's why, there's people I know that are very smart intellectually, but dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to common sense. And, if you look at the distribution of intelligence or wisdom on a curve, it's going to look like this, right? So the people that are total morons on one side, then you've got your grade average, and then you've got those that are super bright on the other side. Well, you can run a line right down the middle of that. And once you understand that 50% of the population more or less is west of that line, then you know what you're dealing with. These aren't critical thinkers. These are people that have been programmed from a very long time ago to believe a certain way. And when you confront somebody with what they believe is a core belief in them, it can rock their world because they find their identity in those beliefs. And boy, you want to see somebody get shaken up and go home and try to, reevaluate their lives. You try and have an intellectual discussion with somebody and present them real facts. You'll mess them up good.
Well, it got depressing for me because I'm like, this is a fact. And they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. I'm like, how do you think that's a conspiracy theory? I tried to explain to people that our modern form of government actually came through from the Dark Ages, when feudal lords rode into villages and raped, pillaged, plundered, and murdered our ancestors. We're the descendants, by the way, of the survivors. And they said, this is too much work. How about if we make ourselves king, and we get the local, priestcraft to put the crown on us. So everybody sits there and goes, "Okay, that guy was appointed by God to, well,
Right.
rule over us." I pointed that out to somebody, and they said that's a conspiracy theory. Where the hell did I learn that? And it's like, huh? And then the other thing we don't teach in school is basic, where does money come from? Okay, this drives me nuts. And by the way, I was one of the naive, 30 years ago. I picked up a
We
couple of
all
books.
were. We all were.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of books and I just said, "Oh, wait a minute. I see the light now. I see how they print
Mhm.
money and they took us off the gold standard. I see all this, and this is what's creating the chaos." Yeah,
Absolutely. The public school system was always intended to be a place that would pump out worker bees.
yeah.
They never wanted to educate people enough to allow them to think for themselves. They wanted people that would work in the factories. And a lot of what we do today is still a similar type of education. How can you say that? That's not true. Well, the fact that you can't think for yourself, that you believe what you're told. I mean, there are two type of people, right? In general, the people who question everything and those who believe what they're told blindly. And you'll
Yeah.
find a lot of boomers, especially, sorry gang, but a lot of boomers that suckled on the teat of regular media news, right? ABC, NBC, CBS. Long before we had cable, they learned that these were the trustworthy voices. It's not the same today.
No.
And there are other forces at work. But if you've always believed that the New York Times is the place to go for news, well, it's going to come really hard on you to discover that they're not anymore. You want
They're
to
not.
believe they are, and they're not at all.
No. The last article I saw that the New York Times did that was truthful was when they exposed the uranium one debacle that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton went through when they sold uranium to Russia for $200 million, and they pocketed that into their foundation. And that was 2015. And
I
anybody can look.
guarantee
Yeah.
that was not published easily. I guarantee there were fights inside editorial
Yeah.
before that got published.
And today, all you have to do is mention the word Trump, and people, I hate to say it, they shit their pants and they gnash their
Oh,
teeth and they go crazy.
case in point, have we ever had a more glamorous, beautiful first lady than Melania Trump?
Not since Jackie.
Never.
Not since
Right,
Jackie
right.
Kennedy.
Correct. And I mean, she was a model before. If anybody should be on the cover of Vogue and Vanity Fair, it should be her. And of course, they didn't touch her first time around. Not that she's interested anyway,
Right.
but there was a tweet just today about apparently Vanity Fair is considering having her on. The editor in chief there is considering asking her to be on the cover again. And then allegedly people within the publication are saying, if they put her on, I'm walking and all my team is going to walk to. I'm like, great. I mean, you're easily replaceable anyway. It's not like there's not people out there that would want to go work for Vanity Fair, but that's the kind of mental illness. It is mental illness. We can't let anybody related to this fascist dictatorship believe that. They actually believe that, and they get themselves worked up for nothing.
I had a guest on a couple of days ago. That episode will be out soon, but she's a clinical psychologist. She's trying to get TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, listed as an actual mental disorder, because
I think it should be.
It makes no sense why people are so angry. They've been told to hate him. They've been told, and instead of just hating, they're like ready to kill someone over this. Or
have you not heard that he's a felon, that he's a rapist, that he's a womanizer, that he's a racist, that he's a homophobe? Have you not heard that? I've told you that. Why don't you believe that? I mean, they're the felonies. You don't have to question what those really mean, where they came from, what the motive was in those suits. You don't have to question any of that. You don't have to go and look back to see that he's actually received awards from the NAACP for his support of Black and African American communities. No, you don't want to do that. They told you he's a racist, so he must be a racist.
Yes, he must be. Let's not look at the fact that he moved the money out of the budget for the historically black colleges and universities, making sure they get their money quicker. Let's not look at the fact that he got past the First Step Act, which kind of made null and void Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden's, super predator bill, get pushed to the side. Let's not look at any of those things. Whenever I've said to people, here are the top 10 things that Trump has done, they either like, I never heard that, or they're like, that's fake news, that's a hoax, or they just ignore it. And it's like, he's a criminal, he's a sexist, he's this. None of those things are true. If you look into those felonies, they were never felonies. Everybody agreed and was happy with this business transaction, everybody. So they accused him of a crime that didn't happen. There was no crime, and they didn't like the outcome. Misdemeanors, by the way, are in the same parlance as a parking ticket, and the judge did not want him to run for president. So personally, the judge broke the law, folks, if you don't understand how law works. I mean, how many episodes of Law and Order do you have to watch before you understand how law works? The judge broke the law by making all those misdemeanors felons. And
it all backfired too. Who's sitting in the Oval Office, kids?
And the only reason, by the way, the reason it all backfires, you can quote any show or statistic or anything you believe. The reason it backfired is they weren't crimes. They were trying to destroy him in the court of public opinion. None of those were crimes, by the way, that he did. And a lot of them were made up.
Have you noticed that they're still trying to destroy him in the court of public opinion? And look at the Democrat Party approval ratings. Look at the leadership they have, full-blown socialists. I love it because they're completely imploding. And at the rate they're going, there won't be a Democrat Party. They'll be like on the same level as the Libertarian Party in terms of votes they get.
Well, what happened? My dad was a Democrat, and he was a member of the NRA. Lifelong. Today, my dad couldn't be a Democrat because they've gone so far to the left. They're communists. There's, the old model of the JFK Democrat doesn't exist. JFK would be considered a Republican today.
Oh, he would be considered right wing today. No question about it. Even Bill Clinton, he was considered a moderate Democrat, but he would be considered further to the right today. That's how far they've gone.
I totally understand, Joel. That's a good point.
Did you have sex with that woman? Did you?
I did not have sex with that woman.
I think it's this knuckle. This is the one when he speaks. It's that middle, like you're not supposed to point at people. You're supposed to, this is like how you emphasize that middle knuckle. So weird.
He now, if you see him without makeup on, he looks like he was in the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah,
he looks like Nosferatu. No, he's not.
He's not in good shape. And
I still want to tap that. That's hot. Melania's hot.
Yeah,
you're gonna stay away from Melania, buddy. Inconceivable. Wow, Joel, thank you for being on Awakened Nation. Where do we go to get a hold of you at this point?
Well, I mean, really, I would love for people to come check out the new show, AI for Everyone show.com. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube if you like the visuals.
Love YouTube.
And then there's all the socials that go along with that. Of course, I'm always at Joel Comm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Zuckerberg's hellhole.
Facebook. Wow, more cowbell, Joel. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Christopher Walken. My favorite line is, "You're talking to my guy all wrong. Wrong tone. If you do it again, I'll stab you in the eye with a soldering iron."
That's pretty good.
Thank you. I've been thinking of doing voiceovers. After I moved to Puerto Rico. Yeah, it's fun. I used to get paid actually to do walking on radio shows early in the morning. And I pride myself in doing walking the way he's supposed to be done, not a caricature. Wow, right. I don't do that. I'm like, have you ever been to Vietnam? Real like Like
good.
creepy walking.
How about Eastwood? You do Clint Eastwood?
Your move, punk. Yeah, I used to do that when I was a kid. I haven't done that one in a long time. Yeah, it's like you have to ask yourself in all the commotion, did I fire 5 or 6 shots? I gots to know. Your move, punk. Yeah, I love that. My dad would sneak me into the drive-in to watch those movies because I was like
Dirty
10.
Harry. Yeah.
That one, hooah! Yeah. Uh, Fun, my brother, fun. I do have a lightning round. I'm not going to let you go yet.
Okay.
I
Hit
know.
me. Hit me with the lightning.
Here we go. 3 questions and only 3 questions, so my guests get to know you better. Number 1, what's your favorite Monty Python episode or movie?
Oh gosh, if we're gonna do episode, it's the twit race when you had these basically retards, right? They were all. We could say that again, right? We could say retards.
Yeah, we're allowed
I
to
think
say it again. It's okay.
And they were all twits doing this type of thing, and they had a race, and the activities included jumping over a row of Matchbox cars, and they kept tripping and falling over them, and then it was like hit the old insult the old ladies. They'd walk up to them, and you couldn't hear what they were saying, but obviously they were saying cursing at the old lady, and the old lady would take the purse and whack them. First time I saw that, just look that one up. Look up the twit race, Monty Python. It's still a classic.
You and I have a lot in common because I was in band.
Because we're twits.
Yeah, we're twits. In band and orchestra, I was either in drumline or the orchestra pit, and God bless him, John Heisey would come in when we were practicing for the musicals that we performed every year. He was the one who turned us all on to Monty Python. So he'd come in and he was like, "Are you here for an argument? I paid for a perfectly good argument." We started quoting.
No, you didn't. You came in for an argument.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah. And so it started with that. And growing up in South Central Pennsylvania, the only way I could get Monty Python is if I tuned into channel 48 and caught it. And the Thames Broadcasting Network would come on. And then when I went to college, a couple of buddies of mine, they said, "Hey, let's go." And in Pittsburgh, this was the best part. You could take the bus anywhere because they had an amazing bus system before they had the subway system. But they would save tickets for last minute students. And we would show up and we had to sit in the balcony for Life of Brian, which was great.
I'm Brian and so's my wife.
It's like, you lucky bastard. Yeah. No, my favorite in Life of Brian was, "I was blind and now I see." And he falls into the pit.
I have to show you this. I'm also, if I was going to pick sitcoms, I think Faulty Towers, John Cleese's
Oh,
show,
yes. That one's good.
most superior shows of all time. And I have a collectible item that just happened to be sitting right here. It is this framed photo from Gourmet Night. It's
Oh
the
my
scene
God.
where he's assaulting the car. And then there's his autograph right
That's incredible.
there. And so this is a numbered print of I don't know how many, but it's pretty cool.
I love it. That is awesome.
That just happened to be sitting right here because I got no place for it on my wall.
Well, I'm a huge Star Trek geek and I have signed Star Trek junk too, all around the house. My girl is like, what is all this? I'm going to turn you on to Star Trek.
It's valuable. I love it's valuable. Okay, next question, Your Honor.
Second question. Out of everything you do, everything you've been through, all this, what is your favorite memory?
You mean work-wise?
Anything.
What memory in life?
Yeah.
What
is a memory you like to go back to?
Well, as a good father, I'll say, when my kids were born, it's like, wow, that's, in the realm of mind blowing. And then, of course, they grow up and are often difficult. But so I think I like to remember them like that, where they can be difficult. From a work perspective, there's so many things that have happened. I can't settle on one. It could be, producing the Next Internet Millionaire and being on the set with that. It could be when we found out iFart went to #1. It could be the moment I got the check from Yahoo when they bought Classic Games. It could be when the Bad Crypto podcast just took off, like crazy. There's so many of them, and I treasure them all. I don't know that I could even rank them. They're all equally wonderful.
You have lived an extraordinary life, my friend. I
I'm
will say that.
very, very blessed. Extraordinary is really very
Would
blessed.
you say you have this huge sense of adventure? Because I think that's what drives me a lot of times. I love the adventure of life.
Yeah, not adventurous in a risk physically risky sense. Like I'm not going to be the guy to, a parachute drop out of an airplane. That's not my sort of fun, but I do enjoy technology. I enjoy taking risks. I enjoy teaching, showing people cool things that I've learned, and I love speaking. I really feel like that's, connecting with an audience of people on the stage is just one of my favorite things to do.
Well, you're very good at it. I want
Boy,
to tell
thank you. You're too kind, sir.
I am.
Be a little less kind. More meanness, Brad.
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
Never mess with Joel Comm when he's on stage. Real quick, my last question is,
Okay, make it good.
Is there something that you do that nobody knows that you do that you love doing?
Well, I've already told you that I play video games a lot. Something I love doing that nobody knows that I do. I don't know what I'm really public with my life. Oh, okay. Well, maybe a few people know because I have done it publicly at a couple conferences, but I love karaoke. I love getting on stage. I did it social media marketing world. Mike Stelzner used to throw these great parties pre-COVID social media marketing world, and they would always have a party with live band karaoke. So I did that publicly a couple times, and it's always a blast. Sometimes Aaron and I will just we'll be by ourselves here, and we'll just turn on the karaoke machine and YouTube, and then we'll throw little karaoke parties here for our friends.
What's your favorite song or singer?
I'm a crooner, so give me old school. Give me Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé, that type of thing, and I'm in my element. I'm a baritone, so it rules out so many artists that are tenors. I wish I could sing Billy Joel, and Elton John, but I can't. But the crooners are right in my sweet spot, and I'm just good enough to be a rank amateur.
I like Tom Jones. Anything Tom Jones.
That's not unusual, my friend.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Yeah. Oh, such great times, great moments.
I know what happened to music. I feel so sorry for this generation. What they've been, again, we talk about the media selling a product to the viewers. Music that's been sold over the past 20, 30 years is just, it doesn't compare. No, it doesn't touch. We grew up with the golden age of rock and roll and music, which is why a lot of young people are discovering stuff from the 70s. I mean, imagine we used to turn on the radio and there would be a new song from Queen, The Who, Boston, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and the list goes on and on and on and on. These legends that it was normal. It was normal for us. Yeah. And music's gotten dark. It's
very dark.
Not a fan of what it's become. It's really unfortunate because the art, it's so commercial that there is good music out there. You just got to go searching for it.
Well, it's been harder for me because my mom was a professional singer and my grandfather was a professional drummer, and I followed suit for quite a while. Can't sing well, but I'm a pretty good drummer. And I watched music just become this canned mechanical thing where you don't have to have a great voice. You just have to look good, or you have to have a weird style or whatever. And I miss those days because for those of you who might be a little younger, in the summer, we used to have what's called bubblegum music, which were love songs. They would come out in the summer. And then in the winter, the heavy metal stuff would start. It's like every hit. Queen was amazing. And then you had these late night DJs that would play the longer tracks like Bohemian Rhapsody and
Yeah.
things like that. And you'd be like, wow, it's not in that 3 minute and 41 second bubble, and it was just so much fun back then.
Here's a piece of trivia for you. When we were younger, we bought 45s, and there was, of course, you can only fit 3.5 minutes on a side of a 45 RPM record. So they
Right.
sold them as singles, but there was one single that was so big, but too long. So what they did is they took the song and they cut it in half. And so the first side was the first half of the song, and it would fade out, and you'd flip the record, and it would fade back in and play the rest of the song. Any guesses what that song was circa 1972? A little trivia for you.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
No, Bohemian Rhapsody. Actually, that song got played in its entirety on rock radio all the time. No, it was American Pie.
You're kidding.
No, American Pie, that did not fit on a 45, but it was such a big hit, they had to release it as a single. So it's a two-sided single.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
They
now
were
you know.
singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. I love that.
But there was no way
Van
to turn
Morrison.
Bohemian Rhapsody into anything other than what it was. I think it's probably
Yeah.
a 5-minute song or so, but
Dun,
that
dun,
was
dun,
played in
dun,
its
dun,
entirety.
dun, dun,
Stairway to Heaven was always played in its entirety. But there was other songs that they edited. They did these radio edits because they were too long for commercial rock radio.
That's crazy. And to think that was high technology back then. Look at what we're
Right.
doing today. It's great.
Yeah, we're AI music. I mean, we can pump out songs on Suno. Have you done that yet? Have you tried it?
No. Oh, I had
dude.
a friend who did a country and western song with AI, and I said, "Dude, you need to do an entire album where you pretend to be this AI country and western guy, and just do a whole album of this stuff."
Do we have time to play?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, we're gonna do something fun here. Let me log into my Suno account right here. Okay, I'm in.
Joel's
And,
going to show us how it's done.
I'm gonna share my screen, but I need to go to your website to do this. And here we go. So we're gonna do something fun right here. I need to send you a request to share my screen.
There you go.
And great. So
Gonna
we're
be the
gonna
greatest podcast ever.
there we go. We're gonna go share, and we're gonna pull up your site. There you are, looking like a badass. There he is. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just grab all of your text here. I don't care so much about the pictures. I'm just gonna grab all of your text, and I have we have all that too. Okay, we have no idea what's gonna happen. Then we're gonna go over to let's go to Grok, because Grok is fun. And I'm going to say, write a song about Brad. So how do you spell it? SZOLLOSE.
LLOSE.
I have pasted copy from his website below, and I'm going to just drop it. I'm just going to drop it all in there. Okay. And I'm going to tell Grok to write a song here. It's going to be called The Campfire's Call. Add to Brad Szollose, and odds are it's not going to pronounce your name right, because your name is challenging enough for even your family, is my understanding.
Yes.
So then we're going to go to Suno here, and I'm going to drop the lyrics to it in here. What kind? This is a campfire song, so we're going to call it Campfire Style. Okay, that's all we're going to do. All right. Then I'm going to click Create. Well, let's make sure that I've got my audio. I need to share sound, so I'll do that. That way we can hear it. It's over here creating songs right now, and guess what? It's ready. Are you ready for this?
Oh my God, that took like what, 5 seconds?
Yeah, here we go.
Go ahead.
By the campfire's glow in the Pennsylvania night, young Brad Szollose found stories that took flight, from Bigfoot tales to war's raw truth. Scout camp sparked the fire in his youth, paddling canoes, the stars above. He learned the power of stories we love. Oh, Brad Szollose, with a fire in your soul, telling tales that make the spirit whole. From the campfire's edge to the podcast stage, Awakened Nation turns the human page. Real and raw, you break the mold, sharing stories of hearts so bold.
So I'll send you the whole song, and if you want to,
please. That's incredible.
it's that quick, and that's without me giving it any other personal touch, right? You can give it prompts to tell it exactly. So this is the type of stuff, like in an upcoming episode of AI for Everyone, I'm going to show people how they can easily create a song, for your grandkid.
Wow.
You're graduating and you want to give them something special. I'm going to show you how to create a song, and you can customize it, and you could tell it what you want it to do. You can give it the style. So we could turn this easily into a heavy metal song. Like all I got to do is put in heavy metal instead. So there you go. This is what I love doing. I love awakening the nation to what can be done with AI.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Comm, please tune in to AI for Everyone. Go to his website, joelcomm.com. I'm going to have everything in the show notes. Joel, an honor, my friend, to have you on the show, my brother, and I love what you're doing. I love it.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you having me.
You got it. Hey, everybody, don't forget to tune in next week for another extraordinary guest here on Awakened Nation. And please like and share and subscribe on all our wonderful platforms that we're on out there. Until then, bye-bye for now, and bye-bye, Joel. Have a good one.
By the campfire's glow in the Pennsylvania night, young Brad Szollose found stories that took flight. From Bigfoot tales to war's raw truth, Scout Camp sparked the fire in his youth. Paddling canoes, the stars above, he learned the power of stories we love. Oh, Brad Szollose, with a fire in your soul, telling tales that make the spirit whole. From the campfire's edge to the podcast stage, Awakened Nation turns the human page. Real and raw, you break the mold, sharing stories of hearts so bold. From cake to design to NASDAQ shine, a .com dreamer rewriting the line. Forbes and ink, they call his name, but deeper truths would fuel his flame. No more success just for show, you crave the stories that make us grow. Oh, Brad Szollose, with a fire in your soul, telling tales that make the spirit whole. From the campfire's edge to the podcast stage, Awakened Nation turns the human page. Real and raw, you break the mold, sharing stories of hearts so bold. Dog the bounty hunter, Covey and Bird, Eartha's daughter, voices that surge from plane crash heroes to warriors of peace. Brad's conversations never cease, tenacity, grit, and a heart sincere. He brings the extraordinary near. Oh, Brad Szollose, with a fire in your soul, telling tales that make the spirit whole. From the campfire's edge to the podcast stage, Awakened Nation turns the human page. Real and raw, you break the mold, sharing stories of hearts so bold. So here's to Brad, the campfire's son, whose stories remind us we're not done. With every guest, a lesson to learn. Awakened Nation makes the heart yearn. From Jonestown nights to the world's embrace, Brad's voice ignites the human race.